Hello, my name is Ansel. I'm a professor of political science at the University of California, Berkeley in the US, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about social network analysis. We know that much of social life is about relationships. We know that from our everyday experience. What social network analysis allows you to do is capture the importance of social relationships and how they impact outcomes that we care about, from policy impacts to entrepreneurship to innovation to social support. These relationships are often not captured in traditional survey techniques. So social network analysis complements those techniques and adds something new, which is this relational analysis. Often in the social sciences we analyze individuals, and this is important, but individual level of analysis often misses out on the impact of those relationships that people have. For instance, both good things and bad things can be flow through social networks. For instance, good things might include social support, or might include new ideas or knowledge. Bad things might include disease or rumors. So, but how things flow through networks, through relationships, is important for understanding social outcomes. So let me just give you a few examples of how different disciplines in the social sciences have used social network analysis. So, for example, in sociology, sociologists might be interested in how kinship or family relationships affects how communities are resilient in the face of external events like flooding, or perhaps how they affect individual outcomes in terms of getting out of poverty. An economist, on the other hand, might be interested in friendship as a social relationship that affects how people find jobs. We know that friendship is a relationship that affects how people find jobs, and so economists have been quite interested in that. In the public health world, public health researchers have been very interested in how diseases are transmitted through relationships. For example, how sexual relationships might affect the transmission of a disease like AIDS, for instance, to take the classic example. In political science, we've been very interested in relationships like patronage, which affect how political elites relate to citizens often, and may affect how they mobilize citizens for voting or for other kinds of events. And finally, let me give you an example from public policy or public administration. Often we're interested in how policy networks work. That is, how relationships between public and private organizations influence how policy is set and how important services are delivered. So in each of these cases, we're interested in a particular outcome, social outcome, that's of interest to that particular discipline. But we're interested in how relationships affect that outcome. And that's a distinctive kind of data that requires certain kinds of techniques to collect it and to analyze it. So let me give you an example of how social network analysis has been used in an African context. So one example is a study from Tanzania looking at fishing villages. And in those fishing villages, it was the interest was how were different villagers or fishermen using sharing their fishing equipment, which was a very important question in a village where not everyone had access to fishing equipment. In Mozambique, researchers have studied how international aid organizations have coordinated with national organizations to respond to a major flooding event, and basically trying to understand how coordination works among those organizations.